Describe Joe in 3 words.
Integrity. Oh my gosh. Opinionated. Tough. I think he was tough. Tough guy.
A father, a coach, a husband, but mostly an educator. A man who knew deep down in his heart that he was destined to do great things. He was a leader and will forever leave his legacy. Joe Paterno was born December 21st, 1926 in Brooklyn, New York. He fought in World War II and then attended Brown University. Joe graduated in 1950, and his senior year as quarterback, he had an 8-1 season, almost undefeated. In 1950, Joe started working at Penn State. He was assistant coach to Charles Angle for 16 years, but in 1966 became head coach. Little did Joe know that he was about to do something more than just coach a football team. Joe Paterno was not just a coach, but an educator, and through this position, he was able to have a positive impact on the university and the boys that he coached. Joe showed his support in education all around. I spoke to Kim Ortenzio Nielsen, former board member and president of the Second Mile. Joe and Kim were also very good friends. Here's what Kim had to say about Joe.
He was a real stickler about his boys finishing college and going to classes and making sure that they were successful, and they went to they monitored. When I was a student there, they made them go to the library. Now they have the Morgan Academic Center, and they don't. They go in there to study unless they need something in the library. But he was really strict about that, and which is interesting. Coach Franklin is the same way. Somebody was bragging yesterday about getting a B on an anatomy test and didn't study. Coach Franklin didn't like it. Joe would have been the exact same way. The exact same way, yeah.
Okay, so it was a real big... Joe was one true coach who knew the boys were at Penn State to get an education, not just to play football. He told the players and their families that. Plus, he showed it through his actions. One way Joe was a leader. He led boys to finishing football games, and he led them to finish college.
That they would get their degree. He always promised them that was, they're coming for an education first and to play football second. Yeah. Joe
Paterno was all about education. One quote in particular shows what he did as a coach for the boys on his football team. He said, "What is a coach? We are teachers, educators. We have the same obligations as all teachers, except we probably have more influence over young people than anybody but their families, and in a lot of cases, more than anybody." He knew that it was his job to shape these boys into something other than football players. He also showed his positive outlook on life. He insisted, "Believe deep down in your heart you are destined to do great things." Joe Paterno also knew the issues of Penn State. In 1983, Joe Paterno set out to raise money for a library. He and his wife raised over $18 million for the library, which was later named the Paterno Library. He said, "You can't have a great university without a great library." The library was finished in the fall of 2000. One thing's for certain, Joe Paterno's legacy will live on for many years to come at Penn State University. Many people have weighed in on what they thought his legacy was, including Kim Ortenzio Nielsen and his own son, Jay Paterno. Although the Sandusky child abuse scandal is one thing that may have tarnished it. At the end of the 2011 season, Joe Paterno was fired by an accusation that he, along with others, had attempted to cover up what Jerry Sandusky had done. He was stripped of 111 wins, which were recently reinstated.
The reputations of many people, including one of the most revered sports figures of the 20th century, were tarnished by accusations which were not based in fact. The restoration of these victories will once again and forevermore restore Joe Paterno as the winningest coach in the history of college football with 409 victories. Without my lawsuit and Treasurer McCord challenging the validity of the NCAA consent decree with Penn State, we would not be in a position where we are today, which is a full repeal of the consent decree. Hopefully today we will begin to make right the damage that has been done. Today is a victory for due process, which was not afforded in this case. Today is a victory for people of Pennsylvania. Today is a victory for Penn State Nation.
This man will leave his legacy on Penn State in many years to come. But what is his legacy? Kim weighed in on what she thought.
He had a motto that he, back in one of the board meetings, and I think it was 2007, I'm not quite sure, he talked to the Board of Trustees about success with honor. That the student athletes can be very successful, but a success with honor and do it the right way, and he was all about that. And when a lot of people think of Joe, they remember.
Jay Paterno, son of Joe and Sue Paterno, also had his opinion on what the Paterno legacy was.
Said and done, what's the Paterno legacy?
It's going to be, I think, that he was an educator, and it's going to be the lessons that he left a lot of people, and so many of them. And, you know, people say, what particular lesson? Well, there were so many. It was, you either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. You know, the will to win is important, but the will to prepare is vital. You know, the idea of focusing and all these different things that he would teach you, and a lot of different individual lessons. But the overarching goal of all this, of his lessons were, you know, every day you wake up, you know, you got to be thinking about the next challenge, and you can never just stay static. You've got to continue to go forward and push forward and do everything you can to achieve at a very high level.
All in all, Joe Paterno cared about his football players. He told them to be confident, and he knew it was his job to be a leader in education as well as a football coach. Those boys were at Penn State to get an education first and to play football second. He also had a positive impact on the university. The library is an example of that. The legacy Joe leaves on Penn State is education and positivity. Evidence from Kim Hortensia Nielsen, Jay Paterno, and quotes of Joe Paterno himself suggest this. Although the Sandusky scandal has added a blemish to his record, Joe Paterno's many great deeds cannot be washed out by what happened at that point. Joe Paterno was an educator and will forever leave his legacy.
I love you all. You're great.
What do you want to say to Penn State?
Tomorrow we'll talk a little bit.
Why did you guys come out?
What do you want to say to Penn State?
Because I want to say hello to all these great students who I love. You guys are great. And all of you. When I say guys, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, girls too. All right. Hey, look. Get a good night's sleep. All right. Study. All right. We still got things to do. All right. I'm out of it maybe now. A phone call put me out of it, but we'll go from here, okay? Hey, good luck, everybody. Hey, thanks for coming.
What's this day been like for you?
I love you, Joe.